Hello, Good Shepherd and Saints Francis and John. I'm Deacon Mike Lynch of Good Shepherd Church. This week we prepare for the 17th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Our reading from the Gospel according to John. Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. The Jewish feast of Passover was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough food for them to eat?" He said this to test him, because he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little. One of the disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what good are they for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people recline." Now there was a great deal of grass in that place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. Then Jesus took the loaves, he gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to his disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 wicker baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. When the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "This is truly the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." Since Jesus knew that they were going to come and carry him off to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain alone. The multiplication of the loaves and the fishes is the only miracle story found in all 4 of the Gospels. It must have struck each evangelist as important for knowing Jesus and having faith in him. The faith of Jesus' own apostles is pretty weak in the story. Challenged by his insistence that they feed the huge crowd, Philip protests about how much money it would cost to feed the crowd. And Andrew wonders, from the practical perspective, how so little bread and the few fish brought by the boy could possibly be enough. They don't yet grasp who Jesus is and what he can do. Jesus ignores their negative and purely practical thinking, and in his compassion for the hungry crowd, he has them sit. He thanks his Father for what has been given, and he proceeds to make so much from so little, feeding everyone in the crowd. Marveling at Jesus' power, they want to make him their earthly king. They too misunderstand Jesus, don't they? When you think about it, Jesus is doing what his Father did in the creation stories of the book of Genesis. God created the universe from nothing. He made the first man from a little dust. And Jesus makes a meal for everyone from what humans see as so little. I hope you also see the Eucharistic overtones of this story. Jesus wants the crowd to be fed with physical bread, just as he wants us to be fed by his words and his body and blood for our spiritual nourishment. Here's some family activities to consider in light of this gospel. The boy in Sunday's gospel gave what he had, the 5 loaves and 2 fish, to Jesus, and his gift in the Lord's hands became something great. With your family, talk about the gifts that your family members give to God. Then talk about how your gifts become great when you give them over to God's use, and what more should you be giving to our Lord. God bless, and see you at Mass.